My name is Pasquale Burgese, and I joined the United States Marine Corps in 1981. Well, actually, I signed up with the Navy, and I took the ASVAB test with the Navy, and then a good friend of mine from high school graduated a year before me, went in the Marine Corps, two of the friends of mine, and the one came back as an honor man with the dress blues on. So I saw that, and I was hooked. And I said, you always do everything the hard way all your life. You might as well go for the hardest branch. And I did. I graduated in June and went in August. I went in as a heavy machinery, like an engineer, these, bulldozers and stuff like that, building bridges and stuff. But then when you go to boot camp, you take your tests again, the ASVAB. And they told me I scored better than a person that should have that job, so they put me in communications. So I was a wireman. After Beirut, I went in as a PFC because my buddy went in with me at the same time, and I got credit for him. So I came out of boot camp at PFC, went to school, and came out number 2 in my class and got Lance Corporal, E3. Then right before we went on a float, I constructed these boxes that centered all the radios in one box, all the wire stuff in another box, and the message center in another box. And I was only in the Marine Corps like 6 months, and they wanted to give me a corporal stripe, but I was only in 6 months, and that wasn't long enough to be non-commissioned officer. So they wrote me up for Navy Achievement Medal. Well, the Navy Achievement Medal took a long time. We go to Beirut, and because of all the stuff that happened there, it got put on the back shelf. Then we come back. Now, being in Beirut, Marine is a trained killer, okay? Not a peacekeeper. So you send a trained killer into a peacekeeping mission. That's a UN's job, not the Marines, okay? And you tell them you can't load your weapon, you can't do this, you can't do that. There's these rules of engagement that tied our hands. And because of that, I never trusted the Marine Corps or the government again. And once I got out of Beirut, things went to another unit, got a medal, that got the Navy Achievement Medal from before, because building them crates, and went to a new unit. Somebody couldn't take these orders. I volunteered for them, thought it was Iwakuni, Japan, turned out to be Kaneohe, Hawaii. Mm-hmm. So I literally went from hell to heaven, okay? But I lost all my brothers in the building. So my mental status was not real good on listening or being a good Marine at that point. So everything went downhill from there, and I wound up getting out a little early, but I got an honorable discharge. But I didn't want to play any more military games because I was in the live position and they wouldn't let us do what we were trained to do. So call that, bad on my part, I don't know, but it's always stuck with me, and I've never trusted anything or anybody since then.
Okay.
8th Marines was a deployable unit, which means a third of the year each Marine, 8th Marines, 1, 2, and 3 would deploy. Then you have a whole armada with you. So you got people attached to you, TAD, floats and all. So you're going overseas with, 40 ships and the whole scenario of what you need to win a battle, and you're playing war games with other countries. So the 8th Marines have a deployment 6 months, and 6 months on, 6 months off. Or no, it's like 18 months. So you go, 3 of us split up 18 months. The first 6 months, second 6 months, third 6 months. 1-8 was on a float. We went on our float. They got called to Beirut because of the war between the Lebanese, or the PLO, and the Israelis. Then they got called out of it, and then they called back in a little while later because these attacks kept happening in Israel from the PLO. So when they had to pull out, we relieved them with the 24th MAL from the end of September to February, Valentine's Day, 14th. And then the 22nd MAL, or 2-6 replaced us, then 1-8 and 2-8, and then 1-8 came back, and they're the ones that eventually got killed in the building. But that's where we were going. We were not going to Beirut. We were going on this NATO-made cruise to do war games with the different countries. So when 1-8 got called in the first time, we got sent to do their war games in Turkey that they didn't do because they were over there. So after we did the war games in Turkey, we went back to Italy to resupply and then went straight to Beirut. And we set up, the Israelis and the PLO had fought from the southern border of Lebanon, the northern border of Israel, all the way up and through Lebanon, through Beirut and into the Bekaa Valley. And from there, they were holding position there. Well, there's one point, we had, Lima Company, Alpha Bravo Charlie, Lima Echo, and I was Lima Company's wireman. So at times I would stay out with them. At this one point, the Israelis tried to come up behind our perimeter, and because we were allies, thought we would let them come through. But we were there as peacekeepers. We weren't there as allies at the time. So Captain Johnson from Lima Company pulled out his 45 against 3 tanks and jumped up on the tank because they wanted to keep coming through. They kept coming and they were screaming back and forth. He jumped up on the tank and stuck the gun at the head of the Israeli soldier and said, "Over my dead body, you're going across here." And to this day, there's a joke that the tanks went back to Israel and they said, "How many Marines? How many battalions?" He said, "1 Marine with a 45 sent me back." But yeah, and that's a true story. He did do that. So that was how we got to Beirut, the company I was with when we were there. We were sent there as peacekeepers to keep peace in Lebanon for the Lebanese people. When we first got there, they loved us, all the people, but you had the Israelis fighting the PLO, then you had militias in the towns, all in street clothes, no uniforms or nothing. You had the Druze militias, you had the Shiites, the Sunnis, the Lebanese militias, and you had the Lebanese army. So we were there helping the Lebanese army keep peace until a point where we started to be seen as occupiers. And we kind of could tell at a certain point when it started to change, because when we would go on patrols, all these kids would be playing soccer in this place we called Hooterville. And all these kids would be playing soccer and stuff, and they'd love us and come up and talk to us. And then all of a sudden, there was nobody playing soccer, or if they were playing soccer, they wouldn't come up to us. Like you could tell something was changing. And that's when we became occupiers as more than peacekeepers. By the time we were leaving in February, it was starting to transition. And then from there on, there's also people that have been shot by snipers. And like when we were there, we got short rounds in our positions. Like I have pictures, they're in my Jersey house, but of a short round, a tow round that came through the bathroom in the library in the University of Beirut, where we were for Lima Company. And every night was like 4th of July fireworks. Every 5th round out of a weapon is tracer rounds. So it was like red lights going back and forth in the mountains right across from us. And what's the difference if they're shooting this way or shooting that way? When we first got there, it didn't seem real. And then you see some things that you don't expect to see, and it became real. So I don't know about feeling safe, but reality struck. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It wasn't like playing war games or anything. It was life and death, And as the saying goes, if by the grace of God go I lived in the building between there and the university for 5 months. Why did I get let to survive? If that bombing happened 4 or 5 months earlier, it could have been me. But see, here's what happened at the time when the PLO, the Israelis chased the PLO into the Bekaa Valley. At the time they were there, and at the time that transition became, as occupiers and seen us in a Muslim country as Americans, Iran created a terrorist group named Hezbollah. And their first mission was to blow up the United States Embassy in Lebanon on April 18th, 1983. That was the first mission. The second mission, which everyone considers the first war, the beginning of the war on terrorism, was Hezbollah drove a truck bomb with 2,200 pounds of gas-infused explosives, the biggest non-nuclear blast since Iwo Jima. Okay, or Hiroshima, I'm sorry. So at that point, we were no longer, it was an act of war. I mean, we were there as peacekeepers, and it was a Sunday morning, and they were sleeping in till 7, and this happened at 6:22 in the morning. So I was back at Lejeune, and I was transferred to main side. And an ironic story here is when I went in the Marine Corps, me and a buddy of mine went in together, and we got separated at boot camp. Like, they needed 3 people, and I was 3 and he was 4. And they took me, and I was the last person from that battalion. He was the first person from the next battalion. So I got right to my platoon and my drill instructors, and he sat in receiving for 2 weeks until they filled up another battalion. So I hadn't seen him from boot camp till it happened to be the night before the bombing. I was out with my friends from 8th Marines, because I didn't really know anybody in my new unit at camp at Mainside Lejeune. So I went out, and I'm partying with my buddies in the back, the bars out the back gate of the base. And I go to the bathroom, and I come back, and this guy's standing in front of my chair that I was sitting in. I asked him to get out of the way, and he looks at me, I look at him, and here it's my buddy Frankie. I went in with boot camp, we got separated. That's the first time I saw him from August 17th, 1981 till October 22nd, 1983. That's the first time I've seen him in the Marine Corps. So what did we do? We went out and got hammered. Next morning we wake up and we think it's 6:30 in the morning. It's Sunday, October 23rd, 1983. And so we get in the car, we're ready to drive back. My car, I'm driving it back to base where we're going. And we hear on the radio what happened, and that we've been on call for 12 hours. It's 6:30 at night. The clouds were all the way down to the ground. It was a real misty day. So it looked like it was morning, but it was actually 6:30 at night. And I dropped him off, and I went back to my unit, and that's the last time I saw him in the Marine Corps. Well, one day, and it was October 22nd, and I remember that specifically because 1, it was the day before the bombing, and 2, it was my brother's birthday. I didn't want to tell anybody. I felt embarrassed about it. But once you get through something, and you've made it honorably, you feel more proud of yourself. Like, as you're going through it, it seems like a jail sentence. I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you that I wasn't the best Marine, but when we went into combat or war games or whatever, I knew my job. And there's the garrison Marine that's spit shined and starched camis and all. Okay, I may have lacked in that department a little bit, but in the field, I did what I had to do, and I knew my job, and I was good at it. When I got back from Beirut, I got transferred from Geiger to Mainside Lejeune. When I got to Mainside Lejeune, I got presented a Navy Achievement Medal, and I was in the wire platoon now. So the wire platoon sergeant didn't like me because I had all these ribbons from Beirut, and he had nothing. He was a staff sergeant. So I just got the Navy Achievement Medal, and he was jealous of me, basically. So he put me on mess duty. The first sergeant that gave me the medal was from New Jersey, and he liked me. So I go on mess duty. There's this dark green Marine that can't take these orders because his wife's pregnant and can't travel at the time. So I said, tell the first sergeant I'll volunteer for the orders. I want out of North Kakalaki, out of North Carolina, totally. So he tells, Burgese said he'll volunteer. Oh yeah, Burgese, I just gave him the Navy Achievement Medal. Yeah. Put my name on the orders. Well, I thought it was Iwakuni, Japan. Turned out to be Kaneohe, Hawaii. So I find out there's a waiting list for people for these orders. Guess who was top on the waiting list? The staff sergeant of my platoon who put me on mess duty. So he put me on mess duty, and then I got the orders that he was top on the list for getting, and he didn't like me even more then. But by that point, my name was already on them, and he couldn't do nothing. So, aloha! I have a friend of mine that I grew up with, and we went. I didn't know he went in the Marine Corps. He didn't know I went in the Marine Corps. We met probably 20 years later, and I found out that he was there when the April 18th, 83, the embassy bombing. He was in a Jeep with a lieutenant and drove out of the spot where he was with the lieutenant to go out and get supplies. And they saw this guy drive up with a truck that was duct taped to the seat. They didn't know why. That guy pulled right into where they pulled out of, and he blew up the embassy. And the guy's name was Steve Remkes. And I helped him get his benefits afterwards, and he got killed in a motorcycle accident. And I took his ashes down to Beirut Wall Memorial and buried them down there where he should be with his brothers. Yes, we need patriots to join and be military patriots, but I see a lot of the military caving to this political correctness and stuff like that should not even. The military is not a democracy. The military is a dictatorship. Whether you want to like it or not, you signed on the dotted line, blank check up into including your life. Okay? So whatever your orders are that come down, that's what you got to do. There is no saying no, but they're getting soft. I just saw an article that says Paris Island might shut down and San Diego and create a, what's it called, a where you have boys and girls in the same platoon.
Like a co-ed?
Yeah, co-ed boot camp. No, I'm sorry, that isn't what you do. No co-ed boot camp. There's too many problems. Women's aren't allowed in combat as of right now, I don't believe. And I don't think they should be co-ed boot camp at all. This friend of mine, Kurt Horvath, is a Vietnam vet, has Agent Orange, PTSD, and Parkinson's. And we hung out for about a year or so. And after a while, Kurt noticed that I had PTSD. He said to me, I think you got PTSD. I said, no, I just thought it was me. So he asked me to go to meetings, and eventually I caved and I went to the meetings, and I found out that there was a lot more people like me. It wasn't just me. And a few years before this, around 1992, I felt I was alone. My business wasn't doing real good, and the demons started coming pretty bad. So I went to Walmart, bought a clothesline, 1/4-inch clothesline, tied it around the steps, noose around my neck, jumped off the steps. The rope broke. At that point, you feel so low, like you couldn't even do that right. But it told me that there's some reason God's got me here. Don't know what it is. To this day, I'm still searching. But recently, I got elected as trustee and veteran service officer for my VFW.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
So, if the least consult that I take out of it is I've been saved to help my brothers, and I want them to know that never ever will I not answer my phone. My number is out there. If the time comes and the demons come calling, call on me and we'll battle them together.
That's amazing, Squally.
We have a PTSD group in our Beirut veterans thing on Facebook and some other Facebook pages that we all monitor and do buddy checks and stuff like that.
Do you want to share any of those on this for
Well,
for any of the guys that may watch this, because they may.
There's
you know.
on Facebook. I think it's Beirut Veterans PTSD Group or PTSD Group Veterans, Beirut Veterans of America. I don't know too many other PTSD groups here in Florida, in New Jersey. Dr. Bob Haynes in South Jersey does his own. That's who helped me get mine, and me help 5 or 6 other friends get their benefits. God bless you. God bless America Brother Foundation. God bless America. What I'd like to say, here's to the boys.
Oh,
God bless you all.
yeah.
Rest in peace. I'm here for some reason, and it's to keep you brothers in our memory.